Welcome back to ABC24 This Week. My panel, obviously ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford, Susan Adler-Thorpe with Thorpe Communications and a political consultant in Memphis, and Reverend Keith Norman, the pastor of First Baptist Broad. So let's talk about this DOJ report. We talked about it with the DA there at the end of our interview with him. We've had a little more time to digest this, Otis. Let's just go down the line. And what are you hearing? What's going to be done in terms of how we appease the city and the DOJ, or is that even possible when it comes to this consent decree or not having it?
Well, yeah, we have had more time, and I've had a chance to read almost all of it, especially as it related to the crisis intervention team, because that was sort of a sore spot for me when I read what was going on there. We still have yet to hear some specifics from the mayor's office and from interim police chief C.J. Davis about what they do plan to do. All we know is what they are not planning to do, which is to enter into that a consent decree. So I'm waiting to hear more from them.
So what's a fair amount of time to give them to kind of get their ducks in a row and come out with a plan, do you think?
Well, maybe a plan might be longer, but come out with something more specific than what you said last week and when you just had a scattershot response to the report. I want to hear some more. I want to know that they've actually read the report, because Mayor Young said last week he hadn't read the report. So we just need to hear more specifics. A plan can come a little bit later, but not too much later, but I just want to hear more.
What do you think, Susan?
Well, I think that Mayor Young, I think that we should have some kind of oversight or I hate to use the word investigation, but some kind of going into the police department and finding out where really are the problems.
Well, the names I'm hearing are like Bernice Donald or Ed Stanton. We need people like that to maybe be independent.
I think that, let me just say, I think Mayor Young is trying to be strategic on this, and that if he kicks the ball down the road a little bit more, he knows a Republican administration is coming in, it's less likely they're going to have to work with the DOJ. But I think in the meantime, what he's probably thinking of is creating, and he should, create a homegrown panel of people who are qualified, who can go into the police department, investigate, for lack of a better word, and find out where the problems are. People like Bernice Donald, people like Janice Holder, former Supreme Court Justice, my esteemed colleague Keith Norman, Ed Stanton, I think Mark Luttrell, or former juvenile court judge Dan Michael. People like that who understand how the police department works, to go in, assess it, tell us what's wrong, and then let the leadership figure out how to fix it. The only problem I see with that is how do you force the city council to pay for it?
All right, your thoughts, Reverend?
I'm at liberty to have full disclosure that I did talk to the mayor about this, because I would say, like my colleague Otis, I was morally disappointed in the first response, in the sense that I think there was a greater obligation to say to the citizens of Memphis when we elected you that we will pursue this and we will follow. However, he did suggest to me that there is a plan similar to what we've been discussing here. He did not give me all of the details, but I do trust that the leadership is there and that the course correction is in place. So I'm waiting to see what it looks like. I'm hopeful that it will bring citizens who will do something here. I don't think, however, that we got some information that we need. When the mayor and his team began to talk about the cost of this, he began to compare it to cities whom have billion-dollar budgets, and the fraction and the portion that it would cost of those cities' billion-dollar budgets was minuscule. So don't cloud the water. Right. People do have
100 million to one city is different than the other city.
Now, I think there were some other, like you said, strategic things. We have a pending lawsuit of over $500 million. So to sign this decree without researching it does say that there is some culpability on our part. So we have to be very careful. I'm going to wait. I think the time scale is we need to do it now. We need to make some announcements quickly. There is a meeting, and there are meetings going on all over City Hall and in other spaces where people are being brought in to give insight and input.
Okay. We also have a reputation as a city to maintain.
Right.
And the sooner that Mayor Young moves on this and announces it, the better off we're going to be, because our reputation is soiled enough post the Tyree Nichols murder, and we need to clean it up, and we need to clean it up quickly, and everybody in the police department needs to be on board with this.
Plus, the one thing that the mayor does not want to do is to let it drag on, and then a Trump administration comes in and everything sort of gets put on the shelf. He could be linked to, we talked about a little bit about this earlier, he could be linked to a Trump administration that's not going to do him any good when he's trying to go for re-election in 2027.
If he's perceived as being almost friendly to...
Absolutely.
I see.
That's not going to
I
work
hope for the
him.
best, and I'm looking forward to something within the next week that I think we can all accept.
Okay, hopefully next week we're here talking about just that.